Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. I'm Tia Knapp, and
I'm
the
Dr.
handsome
Michael
man
Gross.
over here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you more than you realize. Thank you. We appreciate your participation and listening to our messages. And hopefully, you'll be sharing those messages with others.
Perfect. Dr. Michael Gross has an amazing message for us today. And before I give him the floor or the screen, whatever you want to call it, we're welcoming that everybody is here. And I'm just going to do a really quick intro so you all know, if you've never met him before, exactly what this incredible man is all about, okay?
Thank
Dr. Michael Gross is an author, professional keynote speaker, transformational coach, and an entrepreneur. For more than 3 decades, he's been on a spiritual path as an intuitive, a healer, a spiritual counselor, and an incredible teacher. Through the guidance of spirit, Michael has assisted others in their personal quest for self empowerment, helping them to create the lives that they have long sought and to bring forth their own intuitive abilities. He currently teaches classes in spirituality, self empowerment, Reiki, and other modalities. In concert with God, the true source, he has also achieved great success and miraculous healings. Michael remains humble in knowing that the work that he does all comes from the true source. He lives in Lakewood, Washington, and has just launched his nonprofit. So, Michael, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your nonprofit before we get into the topic, okay?
Sure. The nonprofit is called the International Institute of Self Empowerment. Affectionately, we call it TISE, TIISE, and it's a nonprofit, a 501c3. And it has 12 arms, figuratively speaking. So when I first put it together, didn't know what the reason was, but I'm one of those that true source says do it, I do it, and I'll figure out what it is later. And I'm working with TU, who is a survivor of all kinds of abuse. I decided the first thing we'll be working on abused women, children, and men. And she's honored me by becoming director of that program of working with abused women and children. So thank you very much to you. I know a lot about it, but I will tell you, TU is the expert. If there's anybody that's lived it, gone through it, and survived it, and come out the other end whole, they're an expert, and they certainly have lots of things to share with us. So thank you to you.
Thank you, Michael, for asking me to be the director. I'm honored to have that position, and I look forward to sharing more with everybody here regarding the nonprofit. But we're going to go, with respect to everybody's time, we're going to go into the topic right now, which is rediscovering your life. So, Michael, why don't you take it away? And I will just maybe ask you questions if they pop up, okay?
Absolutely, but I would like everybody to give me a 20 seconds because I just realized that I forgot to shut off my cell phone. And you know how Murphy's Law is. It'll turn on when I'm giving a motivational explanation. So please bear with me. But I want to thank all of you for being with us this evening because there's something very important that I wish to discover, help you discover and share with you. And that is our direction in life. And what's happening is there's a point now coming on this planet, and this new direction in life is incredible. And when I talk about a new direction in life, it means where are you going? What are you going to achieve? And everybody at this point in time, because of the chaos that's going on in this planet, we need to reassess our direction. We need to reassess what we want to accomplish. We need to reassess all our relationships. And we need to reassess what brings joy and happiness, or what I like to use, what makes your heart sing. So I'd like all of you, as you're listening to this, when we're done speaking with you and talking to you about your redirection in life, to do an assessment. Right now, what is going on in this planet, and it's all over this planet, not only the United States, is many souls are living in fear. And they're living in fear about the COVID virus. It's still there in some form. Also, RSV, it's called, some respiratory problem. Also, the flu is running rampant. But also, we're going through inflation. And we're going through all kinds of misinformation that we're seeing on YouTube, or we're seeing on social media, and we're also hearing in the news and from others, and we're listening to our fears. One of the things I like to do is, talk things out a little bit, either talk to myself, or you might think that's crazy, or talk to someone I can trust. And then I begin to get more insight. And then when I say insight, as they answer me, I begin to see it through another set of eyes. And then we all have that gift of discernment, which means, does it apply to me? It is the right thing, or do I discount it? So with social media, there's so many things going on. It's hard to understand what's facts and what's fiction. But more importantly, you don't realize, but social media and all the things that are on is another form of soap operas. And a lot of you aren't aware of it. And in the old days, maybe even now, I don't know, they had soap operas on radio and TV, and people would listen to it. And I said, well, what are they listening to? And the answer I got, well, their life is so miserable on a personal basis. If they watch somebody else's life and theirs is more miserable, they feel better about themselves. They go, okay. And there's a part of us that always likes drama and see where it's going. We have drama in our lives, and then we watch it on TV. So we have social media, and we see people talking about tears and crying and divorce and taking trips and doing all kinds of things. But very seldom, and there are few, that talk about how to bring joy and happiness in our life. Therefore, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about appreciation. And talking about appreciation is to appreciate every little thing in your life. Some souls that are never ever happy. No matter what happens, they're never happy. I had a client and he wanted to sell the house for 1.3 million, I think it was. And I think he got 1.2 million. Well, the manifestation didn't work. It's a fail. It didn't work. And he went on and on and on and on and angry. And I said, what'd you pay for the house? Well, 700,000 a few years ago. A hell of a profit, you know what I mean? Well, I wanted to get this money. And I always say when we do a manifestation, right action and correct exchange, this or something greater, which is right action. So here comes a buyer with cash, no waiting. And he was complaining. So some souls are never, ever happy, never happy. And this is a precipice in our life right now. And that's why I'm talking about the redirection of life. First of all, we have to separate ourselves or distance ourselves from a lot of social media. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And realizing that people are complaining and moaning and groaning and so on and so forth. Some of social media, I watch some of that too. And I watch and I see some of the most foolish things that ever gone on. So if you look at me at social media, I post something every night or almost every night. And then we do the podcast that we're doing right now, or I do the motivation words of wisdom or call-ins or whatever. But you don't hear very much about my personal life. And the reason I don't talk about my personal life, many years ago when social media got started, one of my clients said, oh, my granddaughter, I told her I was going to Florida. And she posted it all over. And we were gone and my house was robbed. So I remembered that because there are predators out there. There are predators who want to rob, who want to steal, who want to take advantage of children. I mean, you know all this. And most of the things about social media is I took a trip, I went here, I went there. You know what? I think it's joyous, but I'd rather tell my friends in person than blast it over social media. Because probably 95% of the people don't give a toot that you went to Florida where you went. Those are some of the thoughts I want to share with you because, and your redirection in life is what is important. I mean, are you telling everybody, the whole world, you did all these things because you want them to go, "Ooh, wow, you're really special. Wow, I admire you." And if you need that, that means there's a flaw in your relationship with your soul and yourself. And the flaw is you don't have that self-worth, self-love, and self-esteem. You need to be stroked all the time. And that's so important for you. So redirecting your life right now, it is do things that make your heart sing. And if you're addicted to bragging about all the things you do, well, you better be very, very, very ready to brag 365 days a year, nonstop. Because the only one that really needs it is you. Now, I may sound harsh, but more importantly, what is important to you? Well, I'm going to say, number one, if it isn't, it should be, is your health. Because, Steve Jobs, when he was about to birth out of his body, I saw him talk and he said, you can't buy health. Health is most important. So that's one of the things that is important. Number two, having joy and happiness in your life. I've talked before that you're an antenna, and sometimes you want to be around people because they're so happy. And other times you don't want to be around Debbie Downer or the Karens, as they say, or Kens, or whatever their names are. I don't know, but whatever it is. So your direction in life is for you to sit down and say, okay, what makes my heart sing? What would bring me joy? First of all, I mentioned about good health. Second of all, your relationship with yourself, not your relationship with others, with yourself. Because if you are not happy, what happens is you're going to make everyone around you not happy. It was that old thing, Mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. You probably heard that cliche before. And the truth is, you're right, because you have a direct influence, not only on those around you, but on your life and how your perception of life is. Therefore, you have to work on healing yourself. And it's about self worth, self love, and self esteem. This theme that I talk about, self worth, self love, and self esteem, carries through many of my motivational methods. And the reason is because there's a serious lack of it. So when you have self worth, self love, and self esteem, then nothing can disturb you. They say you're too short, too tall, too fat, too old, too this, won't bother you because you know who you truly are. But if you fall prey to someone else's opinion, then you lack those three ingredients. And in lacking them, you'll never find peace and happiness because you're always going to seek to be stroked. So the first one you stroke every morning, guess who? You. That's who you stroke. You wake up in the morning, and there's several things I suggest you say. Call upon the true source. I give thanks for my wonderful life. Number two, call upon the true source that I now become a conduit to bring love and joy and happiness to everyone around me. And the third thing, I call upon the true source that this day goes joyous and happy, and that I make a difference in my life and others, or something similar to that. That's it. What happens? Well, you know that old cliche, what comes around goes around. So when you're spreading that love, that joy and happiness, no matter what you do, it's going to come back to you. Isn't that amazing? What you think you create, you experience. You've heard that before. So understanding that whatever you put out there comes back to you. If you put out lack of self-worth, self-love, and self-esteem, and you don't change your direction in life, you're going to get back whatever you put out. You're going to get back over and over and over again. And the reason that happens is soul's going, knock, 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 anybody home? Knock, 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 anybody home? You see what you're creating. I'm just a victim. There are no victims. There are no victims. We as individuals place ourselves in a position to be a victim, or we have the free will and choice not to be a victim. And that is so important. Sometimes I have people say to me, oh, well, I want to retire and I have to work so hard or whatever. Well, you can retire if you want to. Well, then I won't have enough money. And so I have no choice. Well, first of all, who put yourself in a position that you can't afford to retire? You did. Who can put themselves in a position so they could retire? You can. And the reason you can is because of the work that I do for the Supreme Court of the State of Washington, working with incapacitated people. I see people who have a moderately comfortable life, remember keywords moderately, that have very little income, but they make the best of everything they have and they have a lot of joy and happiness. And you know what? That's possible for all of us. Nothing is impossible. As they say, you're unlimited. Everything is possible. Therefore, each morning, you have to realize that there's no one else in control of your life, and no one else can control the direction of your life but you, and only you. And I'm looking at time. We got plenty of time. And the other thing that is occurring for us right now is that you have to be true to yourself. What does true to yourself mean? It means, what do you desire to do to bring joy and happiness? And each day you need to ask that. And it may be taking your wife, boyfriend, or just going out to dinner with friends. Maybe the next day is just sitting there and meditating. Maybe the next day is going to sleep early. Maybe the next day is doing some shopping. Each day is something different. But when you're in a relationship is give and take. So you sit around with your significant other or whomever was in your life and say, these are the things I would like to do. What would you like to do? And let's see if we can't meet in the middle. We do things you like to do, I'll do things I like to do, and we won't grumble about it. And we'll try to appreciate from each other's eyes. Meaning, as we're going to a movie and I don't want to see it, I will look through the movie in your eyes to see how you appreciate it, and vice versa. That's so important. There's that old cliche, the Indians used to say, or Native Americans, I have to be politically correct, you shouldn't judge a person until you walked a mile in their moccasins. So truly, we need to be aware of that. And we are embarking on a new phase in our lives. And this new phase in our lives is going to go on for 25 years. And this is a reevaluation of humanity. What direction are we going to go? How are we going to survive through it? And what is going to be the outcome? Now, I'm not talking about death and destruction. I'm not going there. It means everything's beginning to change. Look how much change has already occurred. We find back in the 60s, people weren't flying as much. Now, here we are, 2022, people are flying all the time. We have cars that, self-driving cars, if we choose to use that. The Tesla, and I'm sure there are other cars. And then we have another situation. That is, we have beautiful highways we can travel on. We also have found that some of us want to be homeowners. Some of us don't want any responsibilities. So they only want to rent. They don't want to own a car. And I've run across people that way. And they said, hurrah, good for you. And that's all I say, because I realize that they're going to have an epiphany one day and realize, I need to change my direction in life. So what is going on our planet right now at this time is that the reproduction rate is down. And, and in China, for example, they were limiting it to one child per family. And a lot of the women had abortions, or maybe the baby was born as a female. They would kill the baby because they wanted males and they wanted children to be men so they would take care of the family. Then they said you could have two children, which is really great. However, there's a shortage of women. So I don't know what the shortage is, but it's huge. So reproduction rates are down and China's worried. In Japan, I read they're giving a $500,000 if you give birth because they're worried about the population. And we're worried about the population in this country, and I'm sure many other countries. Now, many of you would say, oh, good, population control, there'll be less and less and less. Well, yes, there will be less, but we're talking about millenniums. So, if you look at the average age of 75, you're looking at a lot of years before the population shrinks. However, what we're going to discover in the future is that we can still have this number of the population. We can still have it, but we will not create the pollution or things that is going on at this time. And there are ways to do that. And sometime, if you want to email me, I'll enumerate some of them, or maybe I'll talk about them. But there is a way you can have this many people who will honor Mother Earth and sustain her. And not quite the way you may think, but there is a way to do that. I'm not against, less population. I'm against hysteria, fear, doubt. And we are, to some extent, creating a lot of pollution, but we're also creating on this planet a lot of mental chaos because of all of our fears and doubts. More importantly to me is the mental chaos. And why would I say the mental chaos? Not that I'm worried about pollution, but what is happening is the mental chaos. Remember, our essence is energy. atoms, particles, molecules, neutrinos, subatomic structure, which has an intelligence. And therefore, I use the analogy, if you go to a party and you're down, everybody's up, you're up, and vice versa. You're happy and everybody's down, you get down. What can this energy do to influence others when the time comes and that we look at the weather is so screwed up? You know who's responsible? You are. I am. It's our emotional energy that's affecting the weather. To you want to say something?
I do. Along with it affecting the energy on the planet when we get all emotional, can you also address what we do to our own body when we get like that?
Perfect. Thank you for
Thank you.
bringing that up. So, the true source told me what the mind can conceive, the body will believe. So we'll stretch our imagination and we'll talk about physical pollution. Physical pollution is not the outside, air that's around us. It is our mental and physical thinking and our beingness that pollutes or messes up our body. If you're living in anger, fear, or doubt, what'll happen? You'll start to lose hair. You'll have ulcers. You may break out in shingles. You may have a lot of anxiety. You may want to run and hide. The three different methods: fight or flight or frozen. Isn't that interesting? Three F's: fight, flight, or frozen. The fourth F is freedom. And that's something we forget about, having freedom. What I'd like you all to understand is, let's talk about energy pollution of our bodies. So we're responsible for our bodies, nobody else. What we eat, what we drink, what we do, everything will affect us. And it's our mind that is affecting our body. So I'll share a few quick little things. Had an Uncle Eddie. Uncle Eddie smoked unfiltered cigarettes. And he's smoking, and I saw you make a face. And he said, Michael, nephew, whatever he called me, I'm fine. Well, he died when he was 83 or 84. All right. Wasn't cancer, just went to sleep and he died. It was his time. Could have been heart failure, could have been something else. And then I have a very good friend, and we were talking about, I don't have time for this. So we talked about the COVID viruses that were going on, and now we have the flu, and now we have more of the COVID virus. And we're talking about the I'm trying to think of the Spanish flu. And there are many individuals that were working with people who had the Spanish flu, and it was highly contagious, but they never got sick. You know why? Because they said, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. So a very dear friend of mine, his daughter came down with a COVID virus. She was sick as a dog. And the mother and father, my friend and his wife, were not vaccinated. And they both said, nope, I don't have time. I'm not going to get sick from her. I'm too busy. My life's too busy. I'm not going to sick. I don't have time. Well, after week 10 days, she got over the virus, and they never affected her. Never affected the mother nor the father. That tells you how powerful your mind is. Now, I'm not advocating you shouldn't get the shots or anything like that. I'm illustrating how powerful your mind is. And other people said, well, I said that, but I came down with it. Really? I don't have time for it. I'm going to get lunch. I don't have time for it. Oh, I'm going to have dinner. Oh, I think I'll go wash my car. How much energy did they put into it? They just said it. They didn't believe it. They were just empty words. And part of what you create in your life is your energy, your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts. That's what's creating the positivity in your life. And if you don't believe you're creating it, think of what anger does and what you create with your anger. Boy, that's a lot of emotion. On the other hand, think about how hard it is to express joy and happiness. You really have to think of it. But anger and frustration, boom, matter of seconds. You can be angry, upset, and screaming and yelling, or whatever your method is of expressing discomfort within you or anger. Therefore, we have an important lesson to learn. In our direction in life, we have to realize no one else is in control of our life. Now, you can give up control to others, but you know what? You end up with egg on your face. Though I'd like all of you to remember that you need to reevaluate your life, reevaluate your direction in life, reevaluate what you desire to accomplish. And after you reevaluate all those things and write them down, concentrate and say, what's number one in my life? And as I said, I hope it's perfect health. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. I know we're running out of time. I'm looking, and we're a few seconds over time. So I'd like to talk to you about some things coming up. You ran and got the bill. So this is brought to you by Healing the Holes in Your Soul by Tio Knapp, story of a woman who was a thriver and survivor. So this is a must read. It's a beautiful book.
And The Spiritual Primer by the amazing Dr. Michael Gross, who wrote the foreword in that book over there. And I always say this, and I believe it with my whole heart, if it wasn't for this book and this incredible man, that book and everything else that you see that we're doing forward from this point on would not be happening if it wasn't for this book and that man. And my mother would be scolding me now for pointing, but that's the only way I can make sure I get through. But Michael, why don't you take a couple minutes and let them know about your Tuesday night and whatnot. And I have the numbers right here, okay?
All right. So it's really important, everyone. And your participation is important. And also spreading the word is important. Every Tuesday evening, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time to 7:30 p.m. what I call Words of Wisdom and call in. So what it is that you call in and you ask any questions on spirituality, and hopefully I can answer them. Then afterwards, I deliver a 10-minute message, and I believe I have 255 of them are still growing, and they're motivational methods. But before I do that, I'd like to give you the telephone number to join us every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. And the telephone number is?
The telephone number is 202-926-1059, and the access
code is 125-446-pound.
I put that all in the comments, but I'll give it to you again in case you can't have access to the comments, okay? It's 202-926-1059, and the access code?
125-446-pound. And then we have what I call the replays. And the replays are these 255 messages. Starts from number 3 to 255. And I'd like to give you this number. So you're stuck in traffic, you're depressed, whatever you are. You don't even have to know what number 27 is about or 192, because your soul is going to help you direct you to listening to the proper one. Can't tell you how many times people call me up. I don't know what number, but it was just perfect what I needed to hear. That telephone number is?
Okay, it's 434-300-4170. And the access code?
125-446-pound.
I'll give that number one more time. It's 434-300-4170.
And the access code is 125-446-pound. And we have one more thing to talk about.
We have two.
So the next thing is we have the second Saturday of every month. We have Mass Consciousness Healing. It is so important for us to participate in it. Please spread the word. We have to change the consciousness out of fight, flight, or fear, or pain into love, joy, and happiness. And that telephone number is
202-926-1059, and the access code
125-446-pound. And it's the same number as the call-in on Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 7:30. So on Saturdays, when we do that, it starts at 9:55 a.m. Pacific time to 11:01 Pacific time. So please join us. It's really important. And if you can know, every Thursday night, we do this wonderful podcast. And then twice a week, if you go to Dr. Michael B. Gross YouTube, these recorded messages are presented. They're 10 and 12 minutes long. They're audio. You can listen to them. And there's beautiful portraits and pictures taken by Tiu, who's an award-winning photographer. And there's little quotes on the photographs. So I encourage you to do this because every word, every thought has a frequency and energy of vibration to bring love and joy in your life. To you, is there anything you'd like to add?
I wanted to invite everybody to also go to your YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button, because we've been doing these recordings now, these messages, for over a year, coming close to 2 years, I believe. And all of them are being uploaded onto Michael's YouTube channel. And also his 255 plus recorded messages are going there. So definitely subscribe to that. It's well worth your time. And other than that, I am really glad and grateful that you're in my life, Michael, and that everybody has taken the time to join us today. So invite your friends to come, leave your questions on, come ask your questions on Tuesday night, and join us again the following Thursday. We will be here. We don't take a Christmas break, right, Michael?
No, we don't. And as you can tell, none of this is rehearsed. It's channeled directly from the true source. We make a mistake in our verbalization, we correct it, because we want each one of you to know is that we are channeling this information and bringing through love. It's not a script we're reading from. It's not something we're trying to sell. All we're trying to do is open up your heart and your soul to realize that you are unlimited. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Namaste. Take care. We love
Take
you.
care.